Let's factor the following trinomial. So typically when we're trying to factor a trinomial, we're trying to factor it into a set of two parentheses. What we should understand is that the first positions in these sets of parentheses are going to multiply to get this first term, whereas these back two positions here are going to multiply to get this back term over here. Now, an important thing about that, or this specific problem, is that we have two different variables in this problem. So when we do this first position times this first position, it should get us this 5x squared. We're not going to worry about the number for right now, but that does let us know that we should have an x times an x in order to get that x squared. Just like this last position times this last position is going to get us this, which means that we should have a y times a y to get that y squared. So I can say an x times an x is x squared, and then this y times this y is that y squared. Now, as far as the numbers, I use a process that is called no-fuss factoring in order to factor trinomials. The way that that works is you're going to take your first term here, ignoring the exponent, repeat it twice in the first position. That 5x times the 5x. Step 2, take your first number, multiply it times your last number. 5 times 27. Now, 5 times 27 is 135. So what we're typically looking for is we're looking for what two numbers multiply to get 135, but add or subtract to get our middle term here. So we want them to multiply to get that, add or subtract to get the middle. So when we think about things that multiply to get 135, like 1 times 135, 2 does not go into that. 3 does go into 135. 135 divided by 3, right, would be a 45. And actually, if you stop and look at that, 45 minus a 3 is a 42. So it looks like my numbers are going to be a 3 and a 45. Next thing to focus on in this technique is going to be signs. So taking a look at our signs here, if your last term is negative, that tells you these are going to be different. One will be plus, one will be minus. The way that you know which is always your middle term here. Whatever sign your middle term has, the bigger out of these two numbers here is going to have it. So since our middle term is negative, 45 is definitely bigger than the 3, right? We're talking about these back positions here. 45 is bigger than the 3, so that means that the minus is going to go with the 45. And since I know they have to have different signs, this one's going to be a plus, right? We need a plus and a negative to make a negative, right? But then a positive 3 minus 45 is a negative 42. Last step in no-fuss factoring, one of these parentheses, at least one of them, sometimes both of them, will be reducible. So for example, there's nothing in common with a 5 and a 3, so I'm just going to drop this one down. But with this set over here, there is something in common with a 5 and a 45. I can reduce it by a 5. So just think about like simplifying a fraction, divide out a 5, and I get x minus 9y. And that is actually the answer here. We have factored our trinomial to 5x plus 3y times x minus 9y.